Hi, everybody.
There you
This
go.
is Alec and my friend Jason. Jason, uh, I'm excited to have you on because I'm sorry for saying so much.
Right? You start the video, you get nervous. Don't be nervous. It's just you and me talking.
yeah.
It's just you and me talking.
Okay.
All right.
So Jason is owner and editor-in-chief of FTM Magazine, along with owner of What Trans Looks Like, and he also has a website called Heartontoys. And you wear a lot of hats, Jason. Am I missing any?
Uh, yeah, jack of all, master of none, right? I think it. Oh man, time. 15 years ago, maybe. My first trans man I ever met too. We had this conversation about how resources were really scarce for trans guys in general, for trans people in general. I mean, that long ago, we were finding out about ourselves based on Jerry Springer episodes, right? And I think the first trans woman I ever saw was from Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. Like, right? We were taught to villainize ourselves or laugh at ourselves and stuff. And so when I came out, it was tough. And then when I met my first trans guy, we were like, yeah, this was my story too. I had nothing. Like, what did I find how to be myself on the internet and like soyouwantto.com, right? So we started the Self-Made Men together, and it was supposed to be this all-encompassing resource for trans guys. And it was way back when folks were just starting YouTube channels and just starting social media, just started and things like that. We were on Tumblr, and we did articles and we did apparel and we did calendars and we did pen pal systems and we did we answered questions and we did videos and we sold packers and prosthetics and things like that, right? So when it became just mine, because he graduated, he moved to California and stuff, and when it became just mine, it was almost like there wasn't enough of a target audience we were doing too much stuff that it just felt natural to kind of break apart into FTM Magazine becoming the where the articles lived and what trans looks like. I'll tell you the intro story for that later. But it became like where the apparel lived, and then Heartontoys was like the prosthetics and sex toys and stuff like that. So the first business was the Self-Made Men, and then everything else kind of followed after that. And it was sorry for this mower. I picked a spot. After all the spots I picked, he's gonna mow up right over here. It's gonna be
You can barely hear it, so I think it's
okay.
okay.
All right. Well, you let me know if it gets loud, and I'll yell. Oh man, I get what you mean about being nervous. I was like, that's not how I was gonna say all that. I planned so much about how I was gonna say stuff, and I just was talking.
Exactly.
Right?
That's how it works. Um, so what was it? So you mentioned there wasn't a lot of resources. Is that that's why you started the businesses?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Plus, not to interrupt you. Do you have a question at the end of that? I shouldn't have.
oh no, that was gonna be one of my questions later.
Okay.
So I was just like, you know, um, I'm trying not to say so much, but it's
You're
not
right.
working out.
Yeah. It was yeah. um. There you go. I said
Oh,
it.
yeah, yeah. So that's why you started the businesses. But what about you personally? Like, what's your background like? What was it like growing up and transitioning and stuff like that?
Yeah. So the Jason origin story, right?
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. So I never know how far to go back, right? Is it like time is weird, right? The little timeline. Like, how far do you want to go back? Because
Um.
sometimes when I'm nervous, I'll be like, well, my family came from the west of France. We were Franks in the 1500s, right? And then I go, oh, you know, it's like we moved to Hampshire, England, and then in 1632 we came over on the Arbella and we founded New Haven, Connecticut. And when the officials from New Haven, Connecticut were like, we're going to make all of Connecticut one thing, we were like, I don't know, maybe. Are you going to like let the people who weren't Protestant or Puritans in? And they're like, yeah. So we were like, nah. So we went down, we like got on a boat and we went down south as far as we could go. And the Pennsylvania Dutch were like right at Pennsylvania and they wouldn't let us go any further than New Jersey. So we like cut in and we founded Newark, New Jersey. And then my family was there until my grandpa, like the Sussex, Newton, New Jersey folk, he was there until he was like about 30. And he had like this job offer in New York and he left with his 2 kids and his wife and moved to basically a tiny house in like the middle of nowhere, middle of New York. And they like homesteaded and did this like, they had chickens, like basically everything I'm doing here, right? But like poor status, like they were doing it because they had to, kind of stuff. And then my mom got pregnant at 15, right? So I have like 16 and 18-year-old parents, and it's just been like not really, they're like in the same generation as me, so they're like kind of cool. Like I've never felt like I had parents. I felt like I had like a brother and a sister in a weird way, and like my mom and I joked that like, or like are serious, that I raised her. And so, and we were like, what I wrote down on my notes that are God knows where, that we were kind of nomadic. I didn't go to a single school for 2 consecutive years for like a long time. The house this house here that I joke that I'm gonna die in, right? This is my last house, is the 39th house that I've lived in, and I'm 33. So
Wow.
like we moved around a lot. So but it was cool for me because like my mom never put any pressures of who I had to be on me. And I went to 8 different schools before 6th grade. And then at 6th grade, we moved to Monticello, New York, down in like Sullivan, Orange County. About where are you from?
I'm from Louisiana and I'm currently in Texas.
All right, so you know nothing about like New York, Eastern.
Yeah.
I was. The sign said I was 72 hours or 72 miles, sorry, from New York City. So like not suburbs, but like not suburbs, like,
Yeah.
but not rural either, because it had a racetrack and like I don't know, a Walmart.
Yeah. Yeah. I grew up in a rural town. I think within the past like 5 years, it just got from, a regular Walmart to a super Walmart for the first
Oh,
time.
oh yeah. Oh man, that's cool. Yeah. So yeah, Monticello. When we moved there, um, my mom was like, "I'm sorry, like I won't move you again," right? And it was the worst school to have done that in. Like of all the schools that I've been in, like I don't know. So 6th grade is like eye-opening in so many ways. Like now I know that I'm not moving, so I can't just like fudge it in with everybody, because like we've been moving every year, every 2 years. So like why bother making friends? Like you can, every time I move, I'm like, I'm a new person. Like it's like a New Year's every day, like where it's like it's catalyst for these big changes of like I do this now or this or like blah blah blah. And so 6th grade I'm staying in this place forever, so that's like I'm nervous anyway. And like sexual orientation starts being a thing, and like boys are asking me out and stuff, and I'm like, I don't know. And then like the girls I'm friends with, I'm like, oh, like I like being, it makes me feel a thing to be close to you and smell you and like things like that, right? And so like I'm going through puberty and I'm like mentally a man, so I'm like going through this like, and so sexual orientation became how I kind of learned that like I wasn't a boy, because people were like, oh, are you a lesbian? Like I had this whole like scandal in 9th grade where it was like these girls thought that I was too close to them and were like, oh, she's a lesbian, and like whatever. It wasn't cool to be but it was not cool to be a lesbian when I was when I was in high school. But graduated in 05.
Yeah.
How old are you?
I'm 28.
Okay. Not that far. Still a millennial, right?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So yeah, and at sixth grade, my family just decided to become Mormon. Like my stay-at-home mom, and now I've got like my sister, new stepdad person. We're like a family unit, whatever, and he's the manager of a Walmart, and we're moving every 2 years because he's opening Walmarts, and so we're down in Maryland. I lived in New York my whole life. We're down in Maryland now, and we're at a Walmart company picnic, and a couple there that my mom super loved, like, oh my god, um, we're like, oh yeah, like we're Mormon, blah blah blah. And my mom was like, oh, I saw a commercial about this. I've always wanted to be Mormon, and I kid you not, we had Mormon missionaries on the doorstep the next morning, like 9 a.m. They were like, let's go, you get on this bandwagon with us, right? Um, so now I've got every Sunday I have to wear a dress, right? And before that, it was like GI Joes and like, cargo shorts and X-Men light up shoes, and like my mom did not police me in any way, shape, or form. And so now I've got this situation where, like sixth grade, everything just like slapped me in the face, right? So sexual
Yeah.
orientation is puberty's weird, middle school's weird, like I'm in church and I gotta wear skirts and stuff, and I hate it. And like, why are you doing this to me? And like, so it forced me, because there's all this stuff in the real life, right? And so
Yeah.
it was also right around the time when America Online like came out, the internet started,
Oh yeah.
right? So now, like, it wasn't so much the You've Got Mail, because that was a little before then, but it was like you can't get online and talk on the phone yet. There's still the dial-up stuff, and my mom like wouldn't let me on the computer until like a certain time because she wanted to call me and see like how I was and blah blah. Like, you can't call and be on the computer at the same
Oh
time,
yeah. I remember that.
right? so so the internet's a thing. So like my life is doing a weird thing, and then the internet is there. So I'm allowed to go on ldschat.com, like an open chat room where I can talk to other Mormon people, because if you're Mormon, you're obviously like a great person, right? So it's just like,
Yeah.
if you're Mormon, all the other Mormons, they just love you. Like, at one time, we had somebody that was like in our area, was from Australia, and she had a bad experience at a camp that she was like a sleepaway camp that she was in, and Mormon, and just called my mom because she was like the older lady class leader, and she stayed with us for a week, like out of nowhere. It was just this random cool person that hung out with us for a little while, and that's the kind of relationship that like all Mormons have for some reason. I don't
So,
know.
that
So
sounds so like a camaraderie
yeah,
in a
yeah,
way.
right. It's almost like if like Malcolm, the FTM traveler,
Oh
where
yeah.
he's just been able to like couch hop the shit out of trans men, because like,
Yes.
I don't know, all trans men are great. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. So it's kind of like that, right? So I'm allowed to be on LDS chat completely unsupervised, because the likelihood of there being some kind of sexual predator that's gonna like come at me, my 13-year-old self, is low, right? So I went on there the first time, it was like the summer between 12 and 13, or 13, 14, or whatever, around there. And the first time I went in there, I went in and I was like myself, if you will, like my dead name self, if you will. And I don't remember really staying in there a lot, but like at that time you ask like ASL, age, sex, location, and like putting the F in there, it like made like people, it was just another way for me to have been seen as female like immediately,
Yeah.
and had all those things on me. So the next time I went in there, I picked the name Jason because Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was like my thing. I just watched it every, like when I got home from school, it was on, and I was like, Jason's my dude, man. He's the leader, and he's the red Power Ranger, and he's the white dude. You know, he's not the geeky white dude. He's like the buff white dude. So like, how racist were the Power Rangers? Like the OG Power Rangers. Did you watch them?
I actually didn't. I grew up on like mostly Nickelodeon, so like Rugrats, Doug.
Okay.
What else? And a little bit of Disney Channel, like Kim Possible.
A little bit of like cartoon, like the
Yeah,
Powerpuff, Dexter
Powerpuff
stuff like
Girls. Yeah, I liked
that.
that.
Yeah. So yeah, the red Power Ranger is like this cis buff Native American dude.
Hmm.
The blue Power Ranger is a nerdy little white dude. The black Power Ranger is a black man. The pink Power Ranger is a cheerleader, and the yellow Power Ranger is an Asian girl named Trina. Like straight up, here's the colors, here's how they work.
Wow.
Right? Anyway, name myself Jason. And I went in there as a boy, and it was everything. Like it was like life. Like it was, I don't know. It was I was in chat rooms from 13 to 18. Like for the next 5 years, nobody knew. Like I'm like Catfish season finale. I don't know if you know that show.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm a season finale because I dated girls from like across the country, like for a while. Like I had backstories, I had sisters and siblings and like shit like that didn't even exist. Like, because like, why just be yourself and male when you can have, I needed a way to explain how I didn't interact with them like they're used to, like the men that they're used to. So I was like, oh yeah, well, I'm the only brother of 5 sisters, so like that's why.
Oh yeah.
That and that. But it it was a lot. And it took up my life, and it was in the same way that I was like, here's my life, and I didn't really like it because they kept being like, hey, actually you're not a boy, you're this. And eventually, like at 6th grade, and with the Mormonism stuff, like even tomboy girls are kind of expected to like grow out of it and like femme up. Like, okay, it was a
I relate
phase,
to
like
that.
get over it, like grow your hair out and like get in line, kind of thing, right? So so it became everything to me to be able to get online and just be myself and who I thought was myself. You know what I mean? And so it was two different. It was LDS chat for a while, and then I don't know how deep I want to get into the catfish stuff because we are trying to talk about other stuff. But I dated a girl from 4 hours away from me, and she like, and then I wanted to meet her because she was in like the Hershey, Pennsylvania area, and my class trip in 10th grade was going to Hershey Park.
Wow.
So I was like, well, I really want to meet you. So I'm like, stupidly, I introduce her to Jason's cousin, me. Right? So this is why I'm the season finale. It was not good looking back, but like at the time I was like, yeah, this is gonna be great. I'm just gonna meet her and stuff. And so I meet her, and then she's like, oh, do you want to come like this summer? Do you want to come down to my house for like a week or whatever? And I was like, yeah, sure. Right? So I go down there, and like when she came to pick me up, she kind of realized that like, Jason's cousin sounds like my
Jason.
I
Yeah.
don't care about my dead name at all. It's like I don't even call it my dead name. I think that's weird. I think it's like X-Men-y where they're like, it's my slave name,
Yeah.
Like, my mom named me Anastasia Lee. Like I was named after a Russian princess, and it was beautiful. The name together meant springtime in the meadow. So
Wow.
it was super pretty. And then my family just called me Stasia, which I was literally just talking about. It's like it's not a white person name. It seems more exotic than like
Yeah.
not a Brittany, you know what I mean, or Michelle or something like that.
Yeah.
All right, where am I? So she comes, picks me up, and things are clicking. But she takes me home to 4 hours away, and like, and that was like it was heartbreaking because like I didn't have the language then. I didn't know what trans was. All I could tell her when she brought me to Hanover, and then she told me that she knew who I was. So I'm like, what am I gonna do? But try to work this out because like, why are you doing this? Like you've been kind of in this like denial fog for the last 5 years of like, why are you doing this? And so all I could think of was like, I knew that I was a boy. Like I thought God made a mistake. Sometimes I pictured myself up in heaven and like I'm a boy spirit, and like I knew that this time coming down to heaven, because like you could in my dream, you can go down in my Mormon dream, right? You can go down into Earth as many times as you want and kind of just play out a universe, right? And then you come back up and you're like, when you come back up, you have the thoughts, but like when you're down here, you don't know where you've been or who you've been and stuff. And so I had a dream that I knew before that this time was going to be hard. It was going to be different, but it was going to be the right time for that, right? Like I just feel like being trans at this moment in history, it led to transness being more accepted throughout the world. Does that make sense? Like
Yeah.
some people had to do this so that I don't know, some Mormon shit. Anyway, so I meet her. I don't even know where I am in my story. I haven't told my story in so long. Like I
Yeah.
haven't been.
So she knows. She tells you she knows who you are,
Yeah,
and after.
she keeps me there anyway. We had a time. Like I just tried to explain, and there was just nothing. Like since
Yeah.
then, I think it was like a couple years. Like just side note, it was a couple years later that I emailed her and I was like, hey, like I didn't have the words then, and I lied to you a lot, which was shitty. But these are the words now, and I just don't want you to like meet somebody else that's trans and hold my bullshit against them. And because I didn't know what trans was at all. I knew that I wasn't trans because I saw a trans person on Jerry Springer once, and I was like, oh, good, that's not me. You know, they were like, this person's deceiving people and like lying to people and stuff like that. And then I'm online lying to people, right? I'm like, that's not me. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So 17 is about the time that my mom like found out. You know, like I think she was making my bed one day or something, and between my mattress and my box spring, I had a folder that was like all of the mail correspondence that I've ever gotten from girls, like birthday cards and just like coloring pages that they sent me and like things like that. And so she like lays them out on my bed. Right, just like,
Oh shit.
and she like goes to work because I guess because my sister goes to school and then I go to school and then my mom goes to work or something like that or whatever. But she's home, so she does the thing and she puts the stuff on there, and then I'm the first one to get home, and I'm so excited that I'm done with school and I'm headed to my room where I can log on to my networks and become myself again because I've had to be someone else all day and it's exhausting.
Yeah.
And so coming home and I see all this shit on my bed. I know my sister didn't do it because she's like 8 at this point. And there's so much estrogen in me because I'm like a prepubescent girl that I just like start crying, like it's like ugly crying, and then my sister comes home and my mom comes home and like we have dinner and like no one talks about it until my sister goes to bed, and then randomly like I've forgotten at this point maybe, and after dinner and my sister's in bed and she says we have to talk about this. She's like I'm not upset about what you're doing and how you might be feeling. I'm upset that you're lying to people. You are deceiving people when you're telling them this, and so we cried on the kitchen floor for like 2 hours, and I just didn't have the words then either. And I think it took like the full 2 hours to just be like, like I'm a boy, right? Like, cause how embarrassing is it to be a kid and this thing that everyone else seems to get, right? Like everyone else in your life, like they're these cisgendered people are like, they've got it. They've got the body, they've got the brain, and then it goes together, and it's just not something that it's about. It's just not something that they've had to think of. And so having to think of it and then knowing that you're female, your body's this, and that like that's not a thing. Like people don't change genders unless you get a sex change, and that at that point that was Jerry Springer worthy. So it was just embarrassing to be like, I'm a boy, because it was so easy for me in my head to say, no, you're not. Look at your body. So
Yeah.
it was embarrassing to just try to get out loud, and we kind of wrapped it up that night. Just like my mom just told me, like, you're okay, it's okay, you're okay. This isn't the end of the world, you know. You can't talk to these girls anymore, which was the end of the world for me. No, it wasn't, because at that time it wasn't LDS chat anymore. It wasn't the girls that I was lying to anymore. It was this like really strange little online queer community. Like one of my best friends was from Baltimore, and he went by Leo the werewolf, and he sharpened his nails very long and went by they them, even like probably
That
20 years
long ago,
ago, right?
yeah.
Like a long time ago. So like my first non-binary friend was during this time, and my other best friend, like we ran a chat room together. Long story, but like she's the first person who even told me what Two Spirit was, because was Native American, and she was just like, this is what they're seen as shamans and stuff like that, not like weird freak type stuff. So I got
You can't
sidetracked.
remember where you're at.
I got sidetracked. I was looking at this tomato here, and I was like, that one's gonna die, that one's fine, and I just left my conversation.
So you were telling me how you and your best friend ran a chat room, and that was a long story, and
Yeah.
how that friend was Native American and told you what Two Spirit was.
Oh yeah. So I didn't really have to like drop anybody. Like they kind of went through my transition together with me, and I think that's why I ended up almost having to pick the name Jason. Like
Yeah.
I picked it at 12 after this character, and then I was Jason for so long online, and the people that I knew and was talking to kind of like came out with me, and so like changing my name at that point just seemed right. It seemed,
Yeah.
and so like my top 3 names, like thankfully I just picked Jason, because my second name was a family name, Jacob Isaac, and then my third name was going to be Aiden. And
Yeah.
thankfully, the neighbor's boy's little boy, like 3-year-old boy, they just named him, like not at 3, but they just had him, and he was 3 when I came out, and his name was Aiden. And I just felt like it was weird to name myself the same thing as like the neighbor kid. So
Yeah,
I
and
didn't pick Aiden or date or anything of the equivalent. So yeah. Um, so yeah, 17. We talk on the kitchen floor about how I feel, and then the next day when I got home from school, there was just a packet of information. Like I picture it being like this thick. My mom had printed out like 30 to 50 pages of information on what transgender was.
wow.
Yeah. So she processed the information, went to Googled "my daughter wants to be my son," like straight up,
Hmm.
and got like PFLAG and Transnet and like some resources about lesbian LGBT and what that was and stuff. And she joined a bunch of online support, like circle, like little threads and stuff. And there was this website called Better Living Through Chemistry, where this guy, Sebastian, in New York City, documented his transition. And so I knew that you could start testosterone and you could like get surgeries and things like that. And it wasn't so like, oh, you have to like move to Thailand and get these surgeries and like
Move
live
back.
5 years with the other gender and like all this bullshit. You could just like talk to a doctor and get T. But so at 17, my mom helps me come out to my family. How long is this podcast?
Oh, it depends on how long you have, because I got nothing but time.
Okay. All right. So 17, my mom helps me come out to my family. My parents are divorced. She goes to my dad, takes him out for beer, tells him about stuff. And his reaction was please don't let our daughter be one of those people. Those people aren't treated very nicely. And he was very worried for me that I was embarking on this journey toward something that was going to face me with a lot of hostility in the world, he thought.
Yeah.
My mom told me she was scared for me just because she knew that at the end of everything, like if I got every surgery, if I was on T forever, you know what I mean? You're not cisgender at the end.
Yeah.
And she was heartbroken for me that I couldn't have just been born that way, and that this wasn't my path, and that I had to do it this way. And that she was worried that at the end it wouldn't have been enough. It is enough, but and then she helped me tell all my other family. My younger cousin used to go up to me all the time and be like, "Are you a boy or a girl?" And I'd be like, "I'm a girl. Stop! Like, fuck off!" Right? and then after I'd come out to some of the family, I was at their house and I opened the door to the bathroom to like leave, and she's standing there, and she's like, "Are you a boy or a girl?" And I was like, "I'm a boy," and like walked past her, but I heard her go, "I knew it." And I was like, "Yeah, kids know, my sister, she was like, I've always wanted an older brother like Matt Camden from Seventh Heaven. She would watch that every day when she came home, and she was like, "I want like a Matt Camden or a Matt, the older brother guy." I was like, "All right." And then my grandpa, when my grandma told him, she was like, because she walks in, he's tying a fly fishing rod thing, and she goes, "How would you like another grandson?" And he's like, "Oh fuck, like who's pregnant, right?" And she goes, "Stasia," and he goes, "Stasia's pregnant?" Like, what? She's like, "No, she's gonna be your grandson," and he's like, "Huh," and that was it. And he's
Wow.
the oldest of us. He's the most that would have been like, "Meh," you know what I mean? And he's where I get my redneck from, and and he's called me Jay for forever. He's used he just switched, and that was it. No, he's always been. He never asked questions. I've never bothered him with like, "Do you want to ask questions?" type thing. I never put in his face, and it was just, it is what it is. My grandma's like a little like just mixes up words and names anyway, because they decided to name their kids Leona Lee Crane, Loretta Lee Crane, and Lindsay Lee Crane. Like, there's already too many L's. And then I was the first grandkid, so all the other grandkids got called Stasia, and then now I like just threw a bunch of stuff in there, right? So sometimes she'd be like, "Hey girls," when she's talking to me and my sister, and I was like, "Hey girl," And then one time at an Italian restaurant, she was like introducing me because I was away to college, and she was like, "Hey, this is Jason. This is Jason, Lori's oldest daughter," and he was like, "Oh, what was your name?" It's so funny because I'm like, I have a beard at that point, and so
yeah,
senile.
that's funny.
Yeah, and then so for my 18th birthday, my whole family gave me new pronouns. It was like this catalyst. Like 18, I changed my name to Jason Robert. Legally, my mom helps me do it, and then my whole family gave me like nephew, grandson, like brother cards, and my friends brought like It's a Boy balloons and bears and shit. Like I had a baby shower type thing, right? But then one of my friends that became like a love interest, right? A real life love interest, not an online love interest.
Yeah.
And so like, and my brain is like, you're trans, you're already difficult. Like, this person likes you, you need to like do anything to stay in this relationship, right? So we're like getting toward a relationship. She's with the guy, so she breaks up with the guy. We're like coming to a relationship, and we used to do this thing where like we'd ask our parents like what they were making for dinner, and we would just decide which one we wanted more. Or sometimes we'd go to one and then the other. But one time she's at my house for dinner. We're watching Smallville or something on WB afterwards, and then during a commercial, she disappears. And so like I finally find her. She's on the back porch and she's got her feet hanging off, and she's crying. And I'm like, you know, what's going on and stuff. And she's like, I just don't know how to tell you this, but like, I don't see you as a man. Like you love me more soft and gentle, and you're more loving and caring, and you talk to me in ways that aren't like a boy. And so she's just like, I don't think you should transition. I don't think you should do this. I love you just the way you are. Like you don't have to go through this hardship of transitioning because we're together. Who cares? You know what I mean? Type of thing. And so I went back in the closet, right? I told all my family who just supported me and given me like It's a Boy shit and like nephew and stuff that it was a wardrobe malfunction. I just didn't know how to dress like a butch lesbian, right? Like I like went into this like weird, yeah, I don't know. My name was legally changed, so like everywhere I worked, my name was Jason Robert, and then I had to tell them that I transitioned, but then I didn't, and like it was a very weird time because I don't know. I don't know, right? And
The
so
things
then,
we do for love.
right. So then when we broke up, it was like I like cranked the thing so hard to be like super masculine. I was like, fuck you. Like no one is ever gonna look at me and think you're too soft, you're not a boy or anything like that, right? And I was just like, douchebag. Like toxic masculinity probably, but like in lesbian form, so it was hot, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like Shane from the L Word, it was like cool. So I get into the college scene as like a Shane lesbian type character with like this faux hawk type thing, and like I don't know. And it was weird to just have to not pursue people. Like
Yeah.
I had to figure out how to not be an asshole and tell people that we're not dating. Like don't keep coming around. Like you know what I mean? It's really hard when a girl is like, I'm your girlfriend now, and you're like, no, you're not. Like,
Yeah.
And so, and the assholeness, right? And then I go to New York City Pride for the first time ever, and so there's a side story running here where in my personal life, my not dating life or whatever, I graduated from high school, and I thought I would like to transition before I go to college, and I was dating that girl, and she was a year younger than me, so I was like, I'll just take a year off, do some shit, blah blah blah, and figure out the trans stuff, figure out what I'm doing here. And so my mom was like, well, no, you have to go to college. Like, if you don't go to college right away, you're not going to go to college. So, like, just take a couple classes at the local community college. What's the big deal? So, like, all right, sure. So we lived, like, 10 minutes from Sullivan County Community College. And I went there to, like, start classes. And they were like, well, you have to pay per credit unless you're full-time, which is 12 credits. And I was like, and they were like, well, and since your mom is a single mom and you're super fucking poor, you'd go for free if you went for 12 credits. You don't really have to do. But if you take one class, you got to pay like $300. And I was like, I don't have $300. I don't have $300. I have to buy this girl all her clothes. Right. So I go full time, and then my mom loses her job 2 weeks before Christmas.
Oh,
and
shit.
My mom and my sister move 3 hours away to my grandparents so that my mom can go back to school and get her degree and like level up her life, right? And so I get moved an hour and a half from there into my aunt and uncle's basement, and I just stopped going to school. Hold on, my battery's dying, so I'm gonna walk. So I just stopped going to school, right? And I was like, well, I just won't tell anybody that I even went to Sullivan County Community College. I was just like, whatever. I'll just go to SUNY Purchase, which is where me and this girl want to go when she graduates, and it's like super LGBT. Like their LGBT union, their GSA had 2,500 people in.
Damn.
They had to like schedule, like you had to have different, like, oh, are you the one that meets on Thursday? Are you the one that meets here? Like, you might as well not have a GSA. This is you're all a bunch of gay theater majors. You need to realize it, you know. So I applied to Purchase, and they asked me if I've ever been to any other schools, and it's like one of those pivotal moments where like I can picture everything about that moment, because I said yeah instead of nah. And so they were like, okay, well, we need your transcripts. Sorry, I got to plug my phone in. We 100% Hundo P need your transcripts. And so when I gave it to them, turns out that just not withdrawing from a school, but just like not going anymore, drops your GPA to a 0.6. Right.
Wow.
So Purchase was like, no. So I had to go to another community college, Orange County Community College, which was the county that my aunt and uncle lived in. And I took nothing but art classes, like straight up just marketing, like anything I was good at, because I was already good at art and very creative. So I did figure drawing and like just like bullshit classes that I was going to get an A in to bring that GPA up and get in. So I went 2 years there. And this is on top of already being in how many schools. Like permanency is not a thing to me. I've already been this many. Now I'm in 2 different colleges. So I went there for 2 years, and that's around the time that me and this girl break up, right? And so now I'm like, wow, I'm single. What am I doing? Like I can do whatever I want to. Single. You know? So first I was like, you know, I'm Jason now again to my family, and then. I go to Pride for the first time, and I go with my coworkers from AMC, the movie theater, and the girl who lived across the hall from my girlfriend at Purchase, because she did go to Purchase, her name is Kaylin, and she's from Long Island. She's like, hey, I'm in New York City too. Why don't we meet up? And so we meet up. And she brings her friend Sasha, who I was like, holy shit, you're like gorgeous, right? And Sasha's like, oh my God, you're like a Shane lesbian type, and I love that. Side note, Sasha was in a 3-way love triangle with Aiden Dowling.
Oh, and
before, right? That was her first Shane lesbian. And Jordan Miller, who's a trans musician. They're both trans men now.
Wow.
From Long Island, right?
Yeah.
And yeah. So we fall in love, right? Oh my God, I'm like 19, I think, and we're in love. And she's from Long Island, and I just moved to Oneonta with my whatever, and my parents, not like a girlfriend, whatever. And she just graduated, and she just got into RIT up in Rochester, New York. And so she's like, Monroe County Community College has housing and open enrollment. Like if you didn't get your GPA up enough, it's like 13th grade for Rochester basically. So why don't you come here? And so I went there, and then in going there, I met somebody who knew a trans person. So this is like how the trans people stuff comes together, right?
Yeah.
So I go to a drag show, my first drag show ever, and my name is Jason. I'm like masculine lesbian, right? And I'm wearing a shirt that says "Nobody knows I'm a lesbian." I look like a little boy wearing that shirt, right? Everyone thought I passed like as soon as I cut my hair in 9th grade, and so they brought me up on stage and did like the drag show thing where they like pick on you a little bit. And then I meet this group of people who are like super creative LGBT like folks, and one of them's name is Jill, and she's like, I'm from Philly, and I have trans friends, and this is how you start T. Do you want to start T? And I was like, yeah, I want to start T. So I had to drive from Rochester all the way down to the Mazzoni Center, the folks who put on the
Philly, yeah.
right. So I drive down there and I meet with a specialist, and I tell her my story, and she's like, you're basically everything I just told you, right?
Yeah.
Tell her this, right? And she's like, your story's boring. You've always been a dude, from what I can see. So you're gonna have to come back in like 2 weeks to your blood work will be done. Come back in 2 weeks and we'll teach you how to inject yourself, and that's it. And that was 11 years ago this January.
Dang.
Yeah. So I feel like a weird elder trans person that like me and Skylar Kurgel and Aiden Dowling and Ryan Solins. Like Ryan Solins was like a couple years older than us.
Yeah.
We all started YouTube at the same time. We all started doing shit at the same time. We all started like, oh, like I'm transitioning. Here's actually that's a lie, because when I was dating Sasha told Aiden about me and how I was going to transition and stuff like that. And he was like, huh, people can do that? That's weird. And I was like, yeah, I'm Aiden Dowling's person. Boom.
That's funny.
Yeah. He was, I mean, I'm divorced now, but when I got married, he was one of the people that I asked to be my groomsman. Like we were super tight. Helped him with, after I did the Kickstarter for FTM Magazine, I helped him with the Kickstarter for 0.5 cc's. And then we did the Aiden Dowling, Adam Levine photo that got 6.5 million views. It was like the only time I've ever gone viral. It was like crazy. Every day it was like nuts, like high volume every day. And then it just dropped and it was fine.
Yeah.
It was like all and then nothing. It was crazy. But for him, it was all, and then he was like, should I like try out for Men's Health? And I was like, yeah, do it.
Yeah.
And then so that was like a wave, and then it was like Men's Health wave, and he's been like good ever since. It's cool because he's like he has the ability to make his living that way, whereas like mine, it's always just felt like a side hustle. Like like there's never been a single point where the Self-Made Men, FTM Magazine, Heartontoys, or What Trans Looks Like has paid me.
Dang.
Like I was a bartender and at an LGBT nightclub in Rochester, and I made bank every weekend. So it like made it so that my rent was paid and my bills were paid, and I could do this weird advocacy work that didn't pay. You know what I mean? And so like I don't know. The magazine started just because I just love GQ, right?
Yeah.
I love the branding of it. I love the feel of just having a man magazine. You know, it's like that group we're in where it's just like, this is for men. Like, it's for men. And so I was obsessed with the idea of creating, it was supposed to be Self-Made Magazine, but Self-Made Magazine is actually a magazine for people of color. There's like it already exists, right?
Oh,
so then I was like, and then there was Original Plumbing already. So like, and then I was like, why not just call it what it is?
Yeah.
It's like having Cat Magazine, right? Or like Dog Magazine being for dogs.
Yeah.
It's like FTM Magazine, right? And so I put together a Kickstarter in 3 days. I lied and said it took me a month just because I wanted investors to be like, oh, he's really like got this. You know? Like 3 days solid, like did videos, did the write-up, did graphics for it, had like put together a bunch of fundraisers and like things like that, and we got it. Like in 30 days we got $500 more than I needed, and so with that I bought an iMac, the Adobe products, a camera, and the first full issue of printing and shipping. And there's so many learning curves.
Yeah.
But like you get all the magazines in, cool. Like first of all, didn't use InDesign. I don't know if you know anything about design stuff.
I don't. No.
Okay, so Adobe has like a suite of stuff. So like you have Photoshop, photo manipulation. You have Illustrator, which is like making graphics and vectors and things like that. You have InDesign, which is like for creating books or like magazines or newsletters or stuff like that, right? You got Dreamweaver, that's for HTML, like websites and shit. You've got like animators and stuff like that. So inside of the Adobe family, you can pick and choose which ones you want. And what I had been doing is taking photos and text and graphics and putting them in on a page, basically in Illustrator, and creating it and then saving it as an image, right?
Wow.
And then putting 32 images together in a PDF and printing that. And so like it was the third issue, the one that I drove to Atlanta to be at the first FTM bodybuilding competition ever. And I was like, whoever wins this is the cover model for the next issue. That would be perfect. And so this guy, Sean Stinson, he wins. And he's this jacked dude. He's jacked. He's more jacked now.
Yeah, I know. I see him.
So he's the first magazine that I used the correct product. Like I didn't make, so that was a digital learning curve, right? I started, and now it's like InDesign, you just have all 32 pages on like open on one like working platform, and then so you can put like, and there's master sheets where like you go into the master sheet and you put a page number on the bottom and like the URL or something like that, and then all of a sudden whoop, it's on all of them, but it says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You know what I mean? Like that kind of shit. I did that by hand. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it was dumb. And so then when I got InDesign, I did InDesign, and then it was a matter of trying out the papers for this printer, like how, like what weight do I want here? And so like some of them are like a certain weight, and then some of them are like not the right weight, and then like so if you see all of them, you're like, wow, yeah, these 3 sections is when you were like, I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yes.
Yeah, it was the 6th issue where I did 3 covers that were like red and white, and hold on. I don't have a Jake Graff anymore, but I have the other 2. So like I paid extra to have like they all looked alike, and there's one other one that goes with it, but inside they're all the same. So it's just the first cover that was, because Emmett had done Brothers, and Seven King had done Eden's Garden, and then Jake had done Spectrum UK, and they were all doing web series like right at the same time. I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. And then after that, it was great until I got a divorce. Right? And it was like, it wasn't even the divorce. It was that we got married, and she started being friends with my sister's boyfriend, who was her ex-boyfriend. It's like a sitcom. Like I could write a book just about that.
Yeah.
And so like they had like an obsessive short-term lusty relationship, and then they were like, oh, we're gonna be friends now, and I was like, I don't know. And that was like kind of, not to say the triggering word,
yeah,
but like all my ex-girlfriends had this cisgendered guy that they would hurt me with in a way.
Yeah.
And so to have it again and then be like, this is my, I tried a lot, but it was a depression that like kind of set in. And then I mean, what is the end of it? I don't know. It was at one point, Aiden Dowling texts me and he goes, how come I can always, it's like guaranteed that I'm going to get the negativity. It's going to be because FTM Magazine posted about me. Like he posts about himself. Oh, you're great, blah, blah, blah. Right.
Yeah.
They're his followers and his fans. And when I would post about anybody that was like just a dude, right? There was so many comments and so much stuff that was like, I really wish I could see more of this or this or this or this or this, and right, and everybody's saying that, and then, which is fine, there's suggestions, right? But then it just was like, how do you take one magazine and showcase everybody from like 13 to 70, right?
Yeah.
No one's happy in the age thing. no one's happy in like race. No
Yeah.
one's happy in ability versus disability. No
Yeah.
one's happy in like body
Yeah.
type. No one's happy in anything. And so I kind of realized that like FTM was too broad.
Yeah.
I thought it was not too broad, but it is too broad. And I just burnt out like so quick with like dealing with my personal life and dealing with just constant like just
Criticism.
questioning what even I was supposed to be posting. And then at one point I did like, not to be like a social experiment, but there was a time when I could just, I'd noticed because I'm looking at the insights of the Instagram. And so like I post a person of color and it gets significantly less likes than a white person, right?
Because the
I
people criticizing you aren't even avid readers.
exactly right. So I posted just eventually I just got like a little tired of being like, okay, I've invested in this person as a cover model because this is what the community is giving me feedback on and says they want. But now I'm almost like I can't afford the next issue because not enough people bought this issue because you have no idea who this guy is. You don't care because he doesn't look like you,
Yeah.
right? So no one's buying anymore, and no one's, I can see that people are liking these people over these people. And so I was just like, I wrote an article and it was called like the brutally honest history of FTM Magazine. And I wrote that like, you know, this is how I started it. It's just like, it's just a graphic design project that one dude is doing on a computer. And it's just like, I'm seeing, like I showcased the snapshots of like, if you know you're commenting that you want more people of color, but when I post a person of color, you can't even double tap and like show the support here or like buy Teak Milan or Seven King versus Jake Graff, like then just like this is what I need from the community. Like don't make me so stressed out about trying to please everybody, or put your double tap where your mouth is and support a black trans person guy, you know.
It's like once you're viewed as something, you can't recover, and the people that
It
criticize
gets
you
worse.
don't come back for whenever you do better. At
Yeah.
least that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, my philosophy after all this, and I can tell you more because it gets worse from that point, right? Like I
Oh,
put
I
this
bet.
out there, and like you're gonna ask me later what got me through it, and what got me through the feedback on that article was that the guys that are the dude guys, the guys that were like, I'm here to support you in any way, like I'll make sure I do this, blah blah blah, right? They came to me in my inbox. They hid inside the private walls of text messaging and supported me, where everybody that was trolling me or like hated me or like just saw me as some white dude and just hated me in general, just like fuck you, right? So they're
Yeah.
like blah, 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 and it's emails and stuff, and then it's like in my inbox in my text message privately I'm being told that like thanks, keep up the good work, like you're doing a good job. You know?
Yeah.
And I'm not the type that's gonna like screenshot it and be like, look what this guy said,
Yeah.
and stuff. So I'm like, okay, but also what one of the feedbacks I'm getting from trans men of color and the comments and stuff like that is that I need to put in the work and the knowledge and the education and stuff like that. I can't just expect black guys to come to me and be like, I want to work with this magazine that's predominantly white, right? So I reach out to a couple guys. I've reached out before, and I reach out to some guys, and one in particular is like, I don't remember their name. 2 R's and a P after
Oh,
the thing. And they were like, at the time, they were like a really big blogger in like somewhere, New York City or something like that. And so I reach out to this person. He's a trans man of color, trans guy. On his Tumblr, he writes a lot of like deep stuff. He's like woke, you know what I mean?
yeah.
So I asked him if he'd be interested in just like contributing, like bringing himself in. Like, what can I do to make this a bigger table and not a higher fence, right?
Yeah.
So he says, yeah, I'd love to. Let's talk about it. And then immediately posts about the fact that I'd reach out and about the fact that he'd never write for a magazine like FTM Magazine because it's just a bunch of like white racist supremacist,
Wow.
binary people, right? Like, oh, I'd never basically do that. And then, so I was like, read your article, just so you know, like, it's always open. I get where you're coming from, blah, 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 right? And I was heated and I wanted to write other stuff.
Yeah, I
And
would
I
have
was
been
like,
too.
what's the business way to handle this? Like, right? And so then that person reads my article about like the brutally honest history of FTM Magazine, and they contribute right to Huffington Post, an article called "A Queer Person of Color's Farewell to FTM Magazine." Right?
Wow.
Huffington Post. So there's never going to be a time when FTM Magazine and me are, and I panic. I'm like, okay, I did something wrong here. I asked people to like put their money where their mouth is, and I got this. Like, it made me feel like shit, right?
Yeah.
But the article, it's still up. You can read it after this. It's like, it's just, it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
And so search engine optimization, I'm never going to be bigger than Huffington Post, right?
Yeah.
Not that I'm like, but Huffington Post is general. It's about general shit. So people have more of a reason to share this thing 6.5 million times every single time they're posting it if they feel like it's about them, right? And my thing is like, maybe a couple people post it, like maybe an article, like my 10 things trans men want you to know has like 10,000 views, and that's just because I post it every month again with a different photo, just because it's really good. I like that article a lot. So there's no such thing as me and the magazine without racism and that kind of stuff. And I brought on a guy who blew smoke up my ass for a long time as a VP, and it turns out he just like wanted to FaceTime, I guess. I don't know, because once we started actually, like, I started my ADD medication and we were really booking it, we were like businessing in it, and he was taking over as CEO and we were announcing shit and everything was going well, and I was like holding him accountable for like we would have meetings and I would be sitting at my desk for the meeting because this is our meeting time, and he is shirtless, cooking dinner, yelling at his dog, and all I can see is a naked shoulder, right? And I'm like, dude, like, how are you taking down notes and like figuring out what we need to do here if you're not even sitting down, right?
Yeah.
So then I'm like, I'm trying to facilitate this handoff here because I want to work on Heartontoys. My goal in life is to get it so that packers are covered in insurance under durable medical equipment. I want you to be able to have a prescription for a Real Magic prosthetic that's like 6-in-1 or whatever, and get that shit for free. You know what I mean? It's a prosthetic. It should be for free. So I'm working with Heartontoys. I bought a 3D printer. I'm like putting out this stuff so we have the capital to reinvest in that kind of thing. I'm working with this Excellus Blue Cross Blue Shield, and then I'm gonna say he's like he threatened me with like a post breakup, do not talk about this kind of thing. He wanted me to air a video that said that his video that he sent me that says that he quit the magazine and resigned because we are too binary, and he wants to expand his media and his photography into more. And I was like, you want me to torpedo a magazine that was already known for being too binary and too racist, right? So here's the story. Do you know Phoenix Montoya?
Yes, I do.
I've heard of him, right? He lives in Boston, Massachusetts area, and he was going to a conference called First Event because he lives up there, right? And so he was telling me about it, and I said, I don't really like right now with the magazine, and always it seemed we don't really have a lot of money to like pay you as an interviewer, but since you're already going, like if you just write down like some how it was or something like that, I can send you some Heartontoys stuff for like, you know what I mean, like some kind of barter system of like, hey, you're going anyway. why don't you like contribute to the magazine and just like tell us how it is and help out the conference and that kind of stuff. So he says, yeah, absolutely, cool. And then he's like, oh, they asked me to be in the fashion show. Do you know a photographer that I could like hire or whatever? And I said the first photographer that I have to say, basically, because I taught Aiden, the other VP guy, how, his name is Aiden too, right? How to do photography, like polish his shit up, right? And so I was like, Aiden could do it, blah blah blah. And then so now I'm like, okay, this is out of my hands. This is between you. It's between your photography business or whatever you are, or whether you're going or not going or whatever. It's between you as a fashion person. But for me, I'm still getting an article. Right?
Yeah.
That's all I want to know for the magazine. And so they bicker or whatever because Phoenix didn't realize he was going to charge him like $200 or $300.
Oh.
So he was like, nah, don't worry about it. Like I have friends with iPhones. Like I can do it, kind of thing. And so they ended up like agreeing on 80 just for gas money and tolls or whatever. And so now Aiden's going to the conference too. And the day before the conference, Aiden like cancels on Phoenix. He's like, I'm not going. Like, because he was like, I wanted to get paid and not just get paid for gas. And I'm like, really, really wanted to have this be a thing. And I don't really want to go. So like going for just gas money isn't really worth it to me. That's what he's telling me. So Phoenix gets a little pissed, right? Like,
yeah, I'd be pissed.
He's sending in texts that are short and periods and like a little like whatever, like back off because he's pissed, right? So the day that this is all happening in my life, I'm on the phone with somebody from New Beginnings Retreat, and they're talking about how we might be the media people that they're able to say when they're like do you know New Beginnings Retreat?
I've never heard of it. No.
Okay, they were like a little bed and breakfast type thing that was right outside of Garamoni.
Oh, okay.
So they would do driving to there, they do aftercare, they do everything. And so like just groups of like 6 guys would be there all chilling together.
Oh, okay.
It was really important.
Yeah.
And what the owner of that did was try to like all the surgeons in the Orlando area or wherever it is. He tried to like keep them at a reasonable rate too, like between 5,000 and 7,000 instead of like Garamoni popping up to like 12,000 kind of thing. And so we were working on the fact that like part of his pitch to surgeons was that he would be able to print them in FTM Magazine. So he would be charging them a media rate, like a marketing rate. So you have this, you have that. We come pick your guy up. We do everything for you. And also we're for $250 a month or something like that. We're putting it in the magazine for you. And that was really cool. Right. So I'm on the phone with this guy. And all of a sudden, like my phone's buzzing and shit, and like my computer's popping and stuff. And Aiden is freaking the fuck out, and he's saying like we need to ban and block Phoenix Montoya immediately. And I was like, dude, you need to like chill and just give me a second because I'm like on the phone with the client. Can you just stop like blowing up my shit? Because he's like, you know, one message after another, and
yeah,
and he's like stuff. So I get off the phone with this guy, and I'm addressing this. And he's like he's aggressive and abusive and he's like toxic and like all this stuff, right? And I'm like, you need to like slow down. You need to tell me what's going on because like as your friend, like sure, someone's picking on you, okay. As a business, Phoenix and I have worked for Heartontoys together. He's one of my models. Like he's making this thing. Like I've never had a problem with Phoenix, and all of a sudden you're gonna tell me that we need to blacklist someone? Like
yeah,
that's serious. And first, like Phoenix has a lot of followers. He's gonna tell people.
Yeah,
Like we banned and blocked out Ryan Casada, and that blew up because Aiden was like, he's saying that we're taking advantage of trans people. I'm just gonna block him. And I was like, sure, Ryan Casada, right? He fucking hates us because we blocked him out.
yeah,
Like, I'm not gonna do that again. You're not doing that again. And if you are, I told him at the end, I was like, if you want to do this, if you have to do this, you need to put out a statement before you do it and say why. And he was like, oh, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, send me I asked him and Phoenix to send me screenshots of their entire conversation. Right. Thankfully, I got the same one. No one like fucked up and was like, "Oh, I'll just show you this or whatever." And when I read it, I was like, "Fuck, dude! Like, he's pissed at you because you bailed on him the night before. He had other photographers he could have asked. Now he has no photographers. You bailed on him. He's mad. Like, it's your own shit." So that was like a Friday, I think, and I was like, "You need to calm down. Like, we need to just like sit on it or something like that." And so he didn't talk to me, and we're friends. We're friends. He texts me constantly, right? But he just got a girlfriend, so like he's texted me a little less. So like the whole weekend he doesn't text me. Monday I get an email, a very formal email, that says that he's resigning, that he expects me to not talk about what's going on, like this stuff with Phoenix, right? And he wants me to post the video, and maybe we'll work again some other time with FTM Magazine, but right now it's not good for me, blah, 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 right? And then he goes through my contact list and messages all of them, same copy paste. I'm leaving FTM Magazine because of these reasons. I'd really like to still work with you, like sniped all my fucking contacts.
Whoa.
And, like, you know what I mean? And at the end, I was just like, listen, like, we've been doing really good business-wise. I've been doing really good health-wise. We're doing really good here. And it's just weird for me for you to be so this way.
Yeah.
And you're not listening to the fact that, like, you're like, I'm holding, like, he was like, "Oh, I'm half of the business. Why don't you treat me like that?" And I was like, "This is why we haven't signed anything yet, because you say shit like that and you don't." Like, when I was trying to hold him accountable for things, he was like, "It seems like you're breathing down my neck and stuff like that." And I was like, "It may be because you said you'd have something done 4 days ago that's holding my shit up, and now I've got to deal with customer, you know, blah, blah, blah." Not to shit talk, right? Even though I probably just did. So during his 3 months of CEO-ness, before all of that, he canceled all of the subscriptions. We had, I think, between $1,700 and $2,000 per month in profit coming in for subscriptions.
Dang.
Crazy, right? He canceled them all because we weren't putting any print out because like, I was like, "This is what you have to do to get all the content for the print." Okay, he says while he's cooking. And then he didn't. And so when I held him accountable, he was like, "Stop breathing down my neck. I'm half the business, blah, blah, blah," right? And then this Phoenix shit. So, yep. And then I was just like, "I don't want to talk to you again." And I haven't since.
Wow, that is a wild ride.
Yep. Because then we had announced that Sir Knight was going to be, do you know him? Okay.
Yeah, Black Trans TV.
Mm-hmm. So we had announced that he was going to be the next cover model, and it was already like a cover model later that we didn't have anybody. There was just like, "What's going on? Are we going to have another issue?" type thing. And Aiden had taken the pictures of him in Philly that time for the cover, and then he gave me like the shittiest, lowest copy and was like, "Here, go fuck yourself," basically. And so I was like, "Well, you know, that tracks." And then I reached out to Sir, and Sir was like, "I'm booked for the next 2 weeks." And I was like, "I got to put a magazine out. If I don't put a magazine out on time, nobody's going to believe that we're putting a magazine out. Like, this is when it's supposed to come out. So it's either this or nothing, right?" And so he sends me some pictures. They're kind of low quality, and they're not something that I think, I don't know.
As a magazine cover.
Yeah, I've struggled with this just because I'm like, is it my whiteness that was like, "I'm not putting this on my cover," or was it the fact that it was like posed in like a very like aggressive, stereotypical gangster style? You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
What prejudice did I look at that photo and think this has nothing, like, right? I don't know. I've struggled with that a lot because I put instead of being just Sir Knight, I did Sir Knight and Black Trans TV. I included LaShawn, and I put both of them on a 5-year anniversary my first one out. The top was black, the middle was a TV. It had both their pictures in it, like they just started it, blah, blah. And then the bottom, the static at the bottom had a slight trans pattern. So it was like black trans TV. Right?
Yeah.
And so when I got it in, I put the cover on, had a very, like, I got feedback from Sir Knight that was basically like, you can't minimize a black man on a cover like this. Like it's racist for you to have made me a smaller picture than anyone else you've ever put on. And I was trying to explain to him that they were going to be concept art now. Like the Father's Day show had like pictures and shit on it. And like, they weren't going to be cover model-y because that was very vain. And it wasn't like what I kind of wanted FTM Magazine to become. And so if I'm honest, like I freaked out, and my partner is like, she's a communications major. So she like messaged with him just as politely and just like not passionate or emotional, or just like, I didn't want to fight with him. I was just like, wow, I'm sorry. You know what I mean? There's nothing I can do at this point. Right. So that was another racist thing though, because Sir Knight kind of hates me, super hates me. Asked me to take all his pictures off the FTM Magazine website and all that stuff.
Oh wow!
Like all of the black trans TV and stuff like that off of FTM Magazine and that part, right?
Yeah.
So like, and now it's been.
I guess I have trouble seeing where he was coming from, because like you've had other black cover models on that you didn't minimize, like Sean Stinson and Tick Milan.
Right.
They were big on the cover, so I guess I wouldn't have, if I was in Sir's shoes, I wouldn't have.
You follow Sir at all?
Uh,
He calls himself a god and like his brilliance and like things like that. So,
well,
like
I guess race wouldn't have.
Making. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess I'm surprised that like that's the first thing he went to, knowing your history of covers where other people of color weren't small on the cover.
Right. It was nuts because when I met him, I told him all the stuff I had with because he was one of the guys that him and LaShawn and Sire Brax and like there was like so many people that I met that day, and I was just like, hey, like I want there to be more representation in the magazine. I'm not trying. I can't write for black people though. Like I can't be like, oh, this is what it means to be a black man. I'm not. That would be rude. Oh my god, that'd be worse.
Yeah.
Right. So I had all these conversations with them in Philly. So like for it to have turned out like this was just a lot. Plus it's just like I'm with everything. I mean, Heartontoys is great. I gave away what trans looks like actually to my friend Avery for his wedding present. He was managing it for a while anyway, and I was just like, you take it. So that's his now. And then so I have Heartontoys, but FTM Magazine is kind of on pause. Like I said that it was going to come out in the summer because I minimized it as much as I could, and I was going to sell it. I have an offer for it at the end of the year that I can, still take. And then somebody came in and was like, I can help you. And I can come in and be like 50, I could come in at 50% for, and we'll pay you $1,000 a month. That way you're being compensated for the work that you're doing. And I think I misunderstood that it wasn't a buy-in. It was like, we're going to make $1,000 in profit somehow and things like that. And it just ended up being all of the same bullshit that I didn't like before. Like I shut everything down. So it was just an Instagram account and the website. Cause with the Aiden shit, we lost 5 years of the website. We had the website from what? 2014 to 19.
Yeah.
It was a lot of stuff. It was huge. And he missed all the emails that said that our card was, because we had to get a new card because it was expired.
Yeah.
Our new card wasn't paying for the WordPress. And so the WordPress just left. With all of it gone.
Damn.
So I don't know. It's just sitting there. Like, I don't know if I want to partner and do all of those things again, or if I'm just, what does it even look like? Like, do I have to be transmasculine and cater to non-binary stuff, or is it just for trans men? Is that problematic in itself? Am I gonna be able to bring on enough people? Am I gonna be able to day to day with my ADD like answer emails? I don't answer emails. I think it's rude. I have to have one.
I think the thing with the non-binary thing trans is that non-binary have their own things. Trans men are never allowed to have their own things, and I think that's a problem.
They have
So,
everything.
because like if you go to any FTM group on Facebook, it's mostly non-binary people, which is fine. But at the same time, like whenever you're looking for somebody to relate to, and you're a binary trans man amongst a bunch of non-binary people who you don't relate to, like that presents a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So my personal opinion is that trans men should be allowed to have something.
Yeah.
I mean, if someone wants to make a magazine or whatever for non-binary people, like I would throw my money behind it and support it. But I don't. But if someone wants a magazine for trans men, I don't think that should be a problem.
Right. Yeah. But
But yeah,
or at least I found that it is, and I don't know. But I also just, it seems like a lifetime ago too that I wanted to do it. Like I was going through
yeah,
some old notebooks and things like that, and I was like, wow, I had so much passion for this. I
yeah.
wanted to do this like day and day, like I'd stay up late to do it, and now I don't. And I sometimes I wonder if it's just because like I'm trans. I don't know. Trans isn't everything anymore.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
haven't made the
It's like a
professional
different.
transition in a
I
long
feel like
time.
at different points of transition, like whenever you first come out and transitioning, trans is a bigger part of your life. But
Mm-hmm.
as you move on with your life, it's like it starts to fade into the background a little.
Mm-hmm. I went
Uh,
through female puberty, male puberty, and then like when I got a full hysterectomy, it felt like I went through, because right, you go through female puberty, and then when you start hormones, you're going through male puberty and menopause a little bit.
yeah,
It's nuts. And then when you get a hysterectomy, it's like puberty number 3 and like menopause. Like you woke up in menopause. Like my friend, I was talking to a friend of mine. I was like, why does this feel so shit? Like after a hysterectomy, and because there's like a depression. There's a sand pit right after that. You know?
that wasn't it for me because
Yeah.
whenever I got my hysterectomy, that's whenever my mood finally stabilized.
No.
Because
Yeah. You had
because my
hot
estrogen
flashes.
levels weren't up and down.
Did you get hot flashes?
I got hot flashes before my hysterectomy, not after.
Gotcha. I felt like a freaking oven. And then when I got hot, like I got like tingly, like I was
Yeah.
bulked out because I'm hot inside, like my core is on fire. But yeah, he was like, cis women, they have so long to like their body like kind of gets ready for it a little bit. It's like, hey, puberty's coming, or like menopause is coming up. Menopause, I'm getting this way. Where it's like you wake up with no ovaries and you're like, hey, menopause. It's today. Today is menopause. Thank you. Yeah.
So that sounds like FTM Magazine and all that has been through a lot. And you said what keeps you going is like the emails and private text messages that support you.
Yeah, it was when it was going through shit, and I would get the inboxes from guys who were like, hey, thank you so much for having this space, because I'm transmasculine, I'm a binary guy, and we don't have any space like you said earlier. And but it was like good because it kept me going, because I was like, okay, I gotta do this. Like there were kids that I knew that I saw at Philly every year, and I just watched grow up as little trans guys, and they were like so excited to just see me every year and just like catch up with someone who was like them but older. And when them and their mom and stuff like that would be like, you know, this is just great, this is a positive representation of, you know, what my son wants to be. And he's just, how do you stop when you're doing that, right?
Yeah.
And then every time I'd just be like, well, you know, shit's shit anyway, I might as well just like do exactly what I want to with the magazine, because
Yeah.
because no one's happy anyway. So I think in a fit one time, I told my friend that if I wanted to post my own face on every single page of this magazine, I could. It doesn't matter. I'd do what I want.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not gonna do that, but like I created this thing, and it's so much weird power to be
Yeah.
like, there are people who see FTM Magazine as like the advocate and stuff. And there was like a good streak where it became something that people knew and enough to. Sorry, I unplugged it for some reason. Plug it back in. Okay. They like knew enough about it to hate it, if that makes sense. I lost my thought because I plugged it in.
Yeah, so I was mentioning how what kept you going through all that, because like just through your origin story and the history of the magazine, it sounds like what kept you going was the people that it made a difference to.
Yeah. Also, like I keep when it's almost like being bipolar or like having mood swings. You know what I mean? Because it's like I hate it when
Yeah.
I'm doing it, and I hate it when I'm there. I hate it. I don't want it to be my job, right? And then when I think about closing it or canceling it or selling it or whatever, not selling it would be great, but just closing it and just being like done with it. Like I think a lot about this story that I heard about the person who sold Victoria's Secret for like $10,000, and now it's worth like $4 billion. And I
Yeah.
just think that it's almost like being a girl in middle school, where I'm like, oh, I'm just not trying hard enough, right? What if I could find people that would answer my emails? What if I could find people that would coordinate all the authors together? What if I only had to talk to 3 people and they did other things, and so I didn't have to do every single fucking thing, right? But then I think of like Aiden, and I think of like I didn't, you know what I mean? Not that I'm like gun shy to bringing other people in, but if I don't actually want it in the end, why would I bring people in just to be like, never mind, I don't want to do this. I don't know,
Yeah.
because I have people that are like, hey, I want to help out, right? So now I need someone that will go and take all the people who say, hey, I could help out, and give them jobs. But that's not me. I don't work with people. I work with plants.
Yeah.
Yeah. So FTM Magazine's on pause. Heartontoys is doing really well actually through the quarantine. People want to buy sex toys and
Yeah.
prosthetics and things like that. So that's doing really well. What Trans looks like is not mine anymore. And so what I'm working on, like my first job is that I'm a property manager of the little 1 acre that I live on. Right, I do the laundry, do the dishes, I do I make sure everything's done, like the house spouse and the park ranger and the landscape architect and like all that stuff. And that's my dream spot. You know, that's what I want to do all the time. And so I do it, right? Because it's my
Yeah.
time. If I can make enough money with Heartontoys, and Heartontoys only takes me like an hour or 2 a day, that's peak. That's what I want. So, oh yeah. So then I took all my like schooling, right? Because I've been to 8 different schools for 2 years, colleges, and so I should have my master's, right? And I learned from 4 different sets of professors the same shit. So I feel like a Jedi master of like branding and marketing and blah 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 blah. So I've started picking up clients slowly. I set a rate for myself, and then I pick up clients, and I just kind of help people brand themselves.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like if you're on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, what makes all of those feel the same? Like it's your brand. Do you know what I
Oh,
mean?
okay.
So I
Yeah.
help with that. I actually make the graphics for people. I teach them about hashtags. I teach them about. I wrote it down. I do product images. I help people with giveaway campaigns, like if they want to do it on their site. Yeah, logo. I just wrote down over there all my stuff that I'm trying to start a. I'm gonna incorporate the words Jason does everything, and I just feel like that should encompass anything that I do. So everything that I do underneath it, whatever the expenses for that are part of the business.
Yeah.
Right. So, and then there's just like different YouTube ideas of different content that I'm trying to create and stuff, and just try to figure out how to just be myself instead of being something bigger than myself. And I know that sounds weird, but like
Yeah.
me trying to be the magazine or like run this and be something else is just, it's been exhausting. And I feel like if I say something, it's mine. If it's not a direct reflection of my business, and if I'm problematic in some way, if someone's like, wow, he's racist, or they're like, he is true scum because he identifies as a transsexual and believes that FTMs are men. And
Yeah.
non-binary people are rude for having that name as their name. And so like all these things that I think, right, those are on me. I'm not losing. No one's gonna be like, wow, fuck FTM Magazine, because they already did, and now
Yeah.
we're here. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we've gone over what I thought we would, but it's a good interview that I think I've enjoyed because like I've gotten to know you so well just through this um, about hour and a half of doing this,
Wow.
and I'm trying to think of like what people's takeaway can be. That's my thing, and I think their takeaway can be, it's okay to fail, and um, if and it's okay to not know what you want to do. You can still be a decent uh, person and happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah,
And
there's so many chapters to life too. Like I don't want to be cliche and be like it gets better, but like when you make it better, it gets better. It's
yeah,
just if things aren't serving you anymore, you just gotta like let them go. And so what trans looks like being someone else's, and like letting go of past business relationships, and letting go of my ex-wife, letting go of everything. You know what I mean? Like I after my divorce, I sold all of my stuff and moved anything that wouldn't fit in a car, and I moved to 22 acres in the middle of the woods in a tent, and was homeless for like a long time. And because I was like, I would rather do this and homestead and just do what I want to do than anything else. And I don't think that I'm the 9 to 5 type of guy. And
yeah,
so creating my own businesses has been what kind of like I have to. Like my own hustle
yeah,
is my livelihood, and that's it. Like I'm not told what to do. It's not like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this was a great interview, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did.
I did. Yeah, yeah. We should meet
um,
up again like next season, like every 3 months or something. We'll just talk, see
yeah,
how each other is. Yeah. I could
yeah,
ask you questions.
yeah. If I ever do my own interview on here, I'll hit you up to ask the questions.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. All right. That'll be great.
All right, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. Till next time.